to this, and this is my review for Ring of Honor's All-Star Extravaganza 4, which is the latest DVD that has come out of that, and Final Battle 08, two DVDs I was looking very forward to, and with this show, wasn't exactly sure what to get. I have been following all of the peer shows, as I've said before. The St. Louis show was okay. I wouldn't call it, it wasn't the worst show ever, but it wasn't exactly the best. It was a good show. And then the Memphis show, I would say, was a good show, but not a great show. But still not nearly as bad as a lot of people have been saying. And then the reviews for this from the night of the show for All-Star Extravaganza 4 were not very good. And I have come to the realization that I cannot trust the ROH boards anymore on what is a good show and what isn't, because pretty much since Pierce has come over, they have been extremely hard and overly critical, I think, of a lot of shows. The pay-per-view being probably the biggest of that, because most of them crapped all over the pay-per-view, and it was actually a pretty good pay-per-view, and they crapped all over this show, and this was also a great show. I felt. So let's get on with this little review. We started with Kenny Omega versus Rhett Titus before. They did the match. They did a little backstage segment where they were interviewing Kenny Omega being kind of goofy, I guess. He called the new Alhambra Arena, I guess is what the ECW arena is now. He called it the new Alabama Arena. And then Rhett Titus came out and was doing the Rhett Titus shtick. Rhett Titus usually pretty good on the mic. He wasn't very good here. He was kind of off a little bit. But, you know, the only way to get these guys better on the mic is going to be get them in front of the mic. So, there you go. That led to the match. This was an okay match. Nothing, you know, blow away. If I had one complaint against the way that Pierce books, and I think there's a reason for this, but I don't get into that, is the fact that the opening matches are often just okay, kind of just starter matches, and nothing that is overly exciting, or kind of, you know, like TNA always throws out those X Division matches with lots of guys in it. Gabe often would throw in like 4-ways and stuff like that, with a lot of action, a lot of spots, and some spot fest to kind of get the crowd into it. But with the fact that Ring of Honor is not booking as many guys per shows, I don't think you can really do that. That would be my only slight complaint, is that the opening matches have kind of, I wouldn't say subpar, but they've just been okay. A little bit more like the WWE books their shows. So it's not a bad thing. It's just kind of different, and that would be one of my only complaints. But I think eventually I will not notice it as much. The match was okay, fairly just basic stuff. One thing that I think I've noticed just watching Kenny Omega, and I haven't watched a lot of Kenny Omega, but just from Ring of Honor, he seems to wrestle up to the guy that he's in the ring with. So he was in the ring with Rhett Titus, who's okay, not great, and so the match was just okay. Where when he was in the ring with, let's say, Bryan Danielson or some of the other better talent, he wrestled up to their ability. So I think that's just him being young, and myself, but that was that. Next, we got Erick Stevens versus Chris Hero. They did another backstage bit with Chris Hero, basically reminding everyone that he was, you know, the new knockout, that young knockout kid, Chris Hero. They went out there, they had a fairly good match, back and forth kind of pace, and then finally you had the whole sweet and sour kind of run in where Chris Hero was thrown in. That's his new gimmick, the loaded elbow pad, except instead of putting the elbow pad on his elbow, he actually put it on his boot and did a Yakuza kick to Erick Stevens to win the match, which was kind of different. Some people might not like that. I think it fits with the whole gimmick and everything, so I didn't mind it too much, but felt pretty okay to me. Next, we got one of the big tag team matches of the night, which was Sasuke, Nakajima versus Brent Albright and Roderick Strong. Before the match, they showed Brent Albright and Roderick Strong backstage, and Brent Albright saying that he had Roderick Strong's back, and he knew Roderick Strong wanted back to Sasuke, or Sasaki. See, I read his name, and now I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. I should just not even read the crap. I should just go. anyways, about the fact that he had his back and the match that happened in Japan, and he knows he wanted to back at him, and so now they were going to have a tag match. And so here we go. And this was a pretty good match. I heard a lot of great things about this match. I didn't think this match was great because it was missing something. I think a lot of what it was missing was the crowd was pretty dead, and this happened in Philly, and the crowd was fairly dead. And I felt like probably not this match, but by the time the next match went, I felt like the crowd was just waiting to crap on stuff. And I think that has been the case with a lot of what I've watched with Ring of Honor. And the Ring of Honor fans need to get over that and stop waiting to crap on things and just enjoy the shows, to be completely honest. But this was a fairly good match. You had Albright in there with Sasaki, and that was very good. I had wanted to see this before, and we kind of got this, and it made me want to see a singles match between them, and showed me that Albright definitely... I would love to see Albright in Noah. I think Albright would do very well in Noah. And, of course, we got Roderick Strong in there. There was lots of good spots, particularly with Nakajima, with his kicks and stuff like that. It's an overall very good match. Just not as probably as epic as it could have been, but I think that may have been good because I think it didn't overshadow the stuff that was further up on the card, which was pretty good because I thought that kind of helped the main event. That's one thing I do like about Brent Albright's booking is that he does book things so that it allows the main event, or at least the top two matches, to kind of shine, and they don't have to worry about trying to be better than some stuff on the undercard that, you know, they might not be able to be better than. So I do like that. Next we had Morishima versus Shiozaki. This was, I thought, as good as the tag match. Some people were kind of down on this. I really liked this. To me, the thing that was really missing on this was the crowd. I kept saying, I was watching this and I was on Skype while I was watching it, I kept saying, man, I can't believe the crowd is not into this. This is just really bothering me, and it bothered me a lot because I was like, wow, this is a pretty good little match. Not as great as it could have been, particularly between these two. I think these two have the possibility of putting on a very, very, very good match. This was more of a match to kind of show Morishima as the much more dominant guy, and that worked out okay. And still, pretty good match. I enjoyed it, and thought it was really good, and actually made me want to see another match between these guys. So there you go. Next we got Claudio Castagnoli, Nigel McGuinness, J. Mark Briscoe versus the American Wolves. This was a very, very good match. Started out as a kind of a three-way tag match, and then they eliminated Claudio and Nigel, and then it got down to the Briscoes and the American Wolves, and it turned into an excellent match at that point, and another match which made me want to see a match between those two teams. The Briscoes came out on top, which shouldn't really surprise anybody, but a very good match. I thought that particularly after Nigel and Claudio got eliminated, it really picked up and really turned into really good, even though it was very good before they got eliminated. So that was kind of groovy to see. Next we got Aries versus Marufuji. They actually gave Marufuji kind of an interview segment. I believe the guy that was interviewing Marufuji was, if you ever saw the Noah DVDs that they sell on ROH's website, it was one of the guys, the better of the two, that did commentary for them, the Japanese guys, and he was the guy kind of doing the interview, translating into English. It was kind of off a little bit. I wish the guy would have kind of did a little bit better, but it was what it was. I really liked this. I thought this was a very good match. Again, the crowd was not into this. Even when the guys were hitting kind of their signature spots and spots that you would expect the crowd to kind of pop for and go crazy for, they just kind of sat there. Austin hit his dive, and the crowd where he hit the dive on popped and jumped out of their seats, and then they showed the camera angle showing the other side of the arena, and they were all just kind of sitting there like, wow, this is wonderful and great. They gave the match kind of a standing ovation afterwards, but it was just kind of there. Again, I don't think the crowd really gave the guys a lot to work off of, and as much as people complain about, got people trying to put themselves over. At the same time, guys do feed off of a crowd, and you can tell that, the guys were trying to feed off of a crowd and really couldn't. So, there we go. And next we got Jimmy Jacobs versus Tyler Black, Delirious, versus Steen, Generico, and the Necro Butcher. I think this should have probably been the opener, because this was pretty fun, but it wasn't great. Pretty good little match, with, not as fast paced as what you would have thought. It was kind of booked kind of a bit old school, kind of slow, but eventually it did get to, I guess, where it was going, and had its kind of, crazy spot fest moment to it. But again, another a good match, not a great match. Another match that the crowd was kind of into, but not really into, and I think kind of hurt it to an extent. But it was what it was. Then we got Bryan Danielson versus Jerry Lynn. I loved this. This was some people aren't going to like this, and I think some people will. It was kind of methodical. They did a lot of mat wrestling, but and a little bit of psychology. I kind of liked the way they told the story. The ending is done in a way which definitely sets up a rematch for these guys in a very good way, where Danielson just barely comes out. The crowd, was kind of confused about it, but it did come off pretty well on DVD. So, and a finish like this, the crowd is going to be kind of confused about it and probably not too happy about it. But I felt the match was very good. Good back and forth. Jerry Lynn had a very good showing for himself, and Bryan Danielson was his normal, great, and wonderful self. A great show. I really like this. And Final Battle is supposed to be far and beyond better than this, which makes me look even more forward to it. And again, I really like this show. I definitely recommend picking this up. I would give this an 8 on my scale. So there you go with that. And hey, I'll probably be back with the Final Battle review on Monday. So if you're looking for that, that's when you can expect it. And I'm out later.